Another video out here. Nice hot California day out here. I'm walking in this one again. And here's my work for the day. I don't even know what I'm gonna talk about. But I just figured I would get a video out. I'm getting my channels on the uptick again, it seems, on the upswing there. So we'll see. We'll see what happens month of July. I don't even know what I want to talk about in this one. I was gonna talk about, I had a plan when I was taking a shower. I was like, we grew up too liberal, and I think that's probably what I'll talk about. I live in California, so this might not be exactly the same for you, but if you live in the Western world, there's probably a lot of things you could take from what I say in the video. But my thing that I've been realizing, I'm 25 years old now. So it took me a little bit, it took me kind of a while to realize this and realize the difference between a liberal versus a conservative, and not even really the politics side of things, but more of just the lifestyle side of things. Like, it's just different lifestyle decisions you pursue if you're a liberal or if you're a conservative, man. It is what it is. Like, a liberal tends to be more outward looking, like looking out of, not like looking out and trying to, I don't know how to describe it, but a conservative is more inward looking. And like, they're more like community focused. A liberal is more world focused, like what's the world doing? A conservative is more like, what's my community doing? How is my community? And who's, they're more concerned about people in the community. And a liberal is trying to, basically, it's like it's openness, I guess. If you want, I want to use a word from Jordan Peterson. It's like openness. It's like open. What's the world doing? Is how a liberal thinks. And that's honestly how I grew up. I'm in California, so that was the norm. But, when it kind of gets annoying, not gonna lie, after, because I'm 25 now. So when I was in high school and college, when I was in high school, that was the thing to do. When I was in college, I could start seeing the transition, because people they start adopting more conservative type shit at some point as they get older. And I saw it happening in college as people were getting through and trying to get careers and stuff. Like, now all of it was more conservative. Like, around 20 to 22, that was the end of the mass. There's a lot of American flags on that property. Talk about conservative right there. But that was the, like, 2022, that was the end of people's super openness. That was basically, from that point on, I noticed people started adopting different kind of values. Like, the people who wanted to get married, talk about a conservative type shit. The people who wanted to do that sort of thing, they kind of retreated into their communities. And the people who wanted good jobs, or, whatever you deem a good job to be, the people who wanted those type, like, good jobs, they retreated into those communities that they thought they would get that type of benefit out of being in those communities, like the good jobs type things, whether it was a fraternity or like an organization. And then they started kind of only associating with people in that community. And that's not political or anything like that. That's just a lifestyle choice that is more conservative. So that's what I mean when I'm talking about not politics. It's just lifestyle choices. And a lot of the people who kind of had more liberal lifestyle choices, whether they were bad or good, you could, like, bad or good, those are relative terms. But we know whether they were, let's say they were into a lot of drugs or what have you, whatever that kind of lifestyle is, they didn't all of a sudden, they didn't have those same, like, the conservative people would separate the liberal people. Like, the reason I say a lot of drugs is because I noticed that a lot of people who took a lot of the drugs back in college, they ended up being more, they had more liberal mindsets. They were kind of concerned with what was going on, like, outside, what was going on in the world and things like that. And, you know, I hung out because I did some fair amount of drugs myself, so I was around those people, but I'm sure, like, those weren't the only types of people who were liberal. I mean, to be honest, most people I actually knew went more conservative in terms of the crowds I hung around, because I was hanging around people who wanted, like, good jobs, who wanted to get married, and who were taking drugs. So a lot of the people I knew ended up going conservative, and that's what happens. To be honest, that's what happens a lot. Some of the people who went to pursue even higher degrees than I was pursuing, like the people who did, like, went to go for masters and PhDs and things like that, those people also tended to be more liberal. So the people who wanted, like, even more higher learning than we had in college, like in the undergraduate, they tended to be more liberal. And even up to this day, you can see their choices, their lifestyle choices also tend to be more liberal, like more open. But, you know, I found that interesting because this is California, so we all grew up basically with a more liberal mindset. And that's even what draws people to college in the first place. Because even going to college isn't necessarily, that's not necessarily a, like, I don't want to say conservative, but, like, usually that's not like a community-based thing, going to university. Maybe community college, but going to university is, like, that's the standard kind of liberal thing to do because it's open. Like, university is it's like an open sort of thing. Like, you go there to learn about, like, kind of the world, to learn about different perspectives, learn about different things about the world, different perspectives from history, like different philosophies, and different areas of, like, science, for, like, different fields of knowledge you learn in university. So that's a lot more, like, usually if you're not of that persuasion, you wouldn't even be going to somewhere like university in the first place. Like, so if you were, like, let's say you grew up with a more conservative mindset, you probably wouldn't, unless you were looking to go there to get married, which people did do, you probably wouldn't even really be going to some place like a university. You would have just stayed within your community and like settled down and have had some kids, like around the age where you usually go to university. People that did that after high school, they were basically just looking to stay within the community and start having a family and shit like that. Not gonna lie, they were kind of smart. Like what they were was early. They were kind of early, because a lot of people end up being that way later. And there's elements of, and see that's, you know, that I find that funny, to be honest, because I'm kind of still not really there, but I probably would have been if I wasn't like in America. It's hard to explain, but if I wasn't really in this country, I probably would have been that way. But then also my parents too, because my parents, the reason I grew up liberal is because my parents were, like, they kind of came here, and that's, talk about a liberal thing to do, like in this sphere. Sorry, there's like a car right next to me, you probably heard that. In this like manosphere, or like whatever you want to call it, people talk about geomaxing and shit for women, but you know, for like, people do geomaxing for opportunities, and that's kind of a liberal thing to do, to go elsewhere in search of opportunity, because, you know, maybe there is an opportunity elsewhere, but the same shit that drove my parents to leave Nigeria, that's the same shit that's happening here, and it's driving people to leave America. So in search of better opportunities, maybe, you know, there might be better opportunities for a little bit of time, but ultimately I think a lot of places end up being similar. And it might just be, you know, what are you willing to tolerate and how much time do you have is kind of how I think it is, more so than places being that different. Even when you have different people, like different cultures and shit, a lot of times it ends up being the same. Like take Japan, for example. You have a place they're very ethnically similar, yet they face the same problems that a completely multi-ethnic and multiracial place like America is facing. So how, and that's just really interesting to me. A place there where like, yeah, I don't even know what the focus is. Like I've never been there, so I don't know what they focus on. I don't know what they focus on growing up, but I see how the problems they have, they mirror the problems we have here. Like their economy is going to shit. They had deflation for a while, but I think they have inflation now. And they have a lot of young people who they were liberal. Like they didn't even in an ethnically similar place like Japan, people were still liberal to the point where they didn't get together and have families. So now they have a like demographic slide where they have a population pyramid that's inverted. It's even worse than here. Like it's even worse than a place that's like as multi-ethnic as the United States. So that's just interesting to me. Like I wonder how different places really are, to be honest. Like how much different, especially in the globalized world like we have now, how different are places really? Like that's a question I have. They don't, like, the older I get, the less different they seem to me. But maybe I need to go there. Like I need to go there personally and see. Like, but then, you know, me getting more conservative myself, I don't have roots there, I don't have family there or anything like that. So I don't really know. Like what would I mean, other than like field work, I guess. I took some cultural anthropology. I took one cultural anthropology class in college to talk about, you know, something liberal. And maybe I could do field work there. That's just about the only business I would have in a place like Japan. Like maybe go there and geomax, get laid. But like people they're not having families and shit there too. So I wonder a lot of shit. Like people, we grew up very liberal, especially here in California. And that follows us for a long time, but people change to being more conservative over time. Like the older you get, the more conservative you get, sure. And I wonder, I'm seeing that happen with like my cohort. And I'm not really quite there yet. So I wonder how long that stays with people. And I probably, like I said earlier, I don't know how liberal I would have been if I wasn't here. And if my parents weren't so liberal, even up to this day, my parents they vote liberally, but they're not really, their actions aren't that liberal. Their actions are more like, they're way more conservative, to be honest. Like they just vote liberally, and that makes very little sense to me. But like the thing is, they're here, so this isn't their home country. So the way that they vote, they agree with certain things that are said by liberals here. But like, to be honest, I don't trust a lot of that shit. Maybe they do have a point. Maybe they do have a point, and like I'm just too young to know. Like I don't trust a lot of that liberal shit, to be honest. A lot of that stuff they say for votes. But maybe I need to start taking advantage of those policies, and I would like liberals more. Like I'm not too sure. And technically I am one myself, even though like technically kinda. I mean, I grew up believing in a lot of their shit. But I'm changing now, but like a lot of my actions are still fairly liberal. And I listen to people like Jordan Peterson, who's a liberal. Like people, they align him with Republicans and shit like that, but like that dude's a liberal. But yeah, I guess that's all I wanted to really say, and I wanted to take a walk too, and just like give y'all more content out here. See some nature and shit. There's nobody out, man. Like, this is the thing about suburbs. I'll do a video on that sometime, but suburbs, man, a lot of times you'll find people not out. Like I'm walking towards Sacramento right now. Like you'll see a lot more people in that region. Like Sacramento is literally, it's like 2 minutes away. Driving, I mean, walking, it's like, take me another 15 minutes to get there, maybe. 15 minutes probably to get there. Another couple miles, but yeah, I mean, you want to talk about, see where it's more conservative in the suburbs. In the city, you'll see it more liberal, and you'll see more people walking around. It's a Saturday here. It's a nice-ass car that just drove by. You got people in cars and shit going by. And bikes, like that was a bike right there, that was a motorcycle. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it. That's all I got for now. Around 20 minutes. Maybe I'll put an intro on it, maybe I won't, but yeah, I guess this is just to feed y'all some shit, man. Like, we're in a collapse here. Like, I don't know what else to tell y'all. This is not like, it seems like a collapse to me. So just to give you guys something to chew on until my next video comes out, like your YouTube, going around on your YouTube, whatever you want to call it. But yeah, you'll probably turn around and go back and eat now. I'm chilling on this video. I guess I'll see y'all in the next one. I might talk about suburbs, or maybe I'll talk about Shinzo Abe dying. Who knows? But yeah, I'm just chilling out here now. Maybe get some more nature and then call it good. Alright, well, I'll catch y'all later. See you in the next one. And peace out. Stay healthy, guys. Stay healthy.